Our next speaker is Xueqi Pang. She is a Chinese Norwegian journalist and a photographer and is employed by Norway's biggest newspaper, VG, Vardens Gang. She has a bachelor's degree in journalism from the Norwegian University of College of Oslo and Akershus. She's one of the few reporters in Norway who reports using Snapchat. So Anthony, I've actually seen you on TikTok and it was very brilliant videos you have there. Personally, I don't have Snapchat or TikTok, so I'm going to be asking both of you for some help, I guess. And she will be talking about East Asian representation in the Norwegian media. Thank you for joining us, Xueqi.
Hi, this is the first time, well, the second time using Zoom, so I'm just gonna try to share my screen as well.
No problem. Take your time.
Yeah, okay. I need to give it access. Sorry. This I should have done before.
No worry, we've been having quite a lot of technical difficulties, so thanks for the audience for being so patient with us today.
Oh, I have to quit the program. That's, yeah, okay, this is going to be interesting. Just give me a second.
While she's getting that, can I pose a question? You're muted, hon. I was going to pose a question to Anthony.
Okay, I'm back, and here's as well.
That will go into the panel discussion, Melanie, I think.
All good, all good.
Can you guys see the presentation?
I can see it very well, thank you.
Great, okay, I'll begin. So yeah, thank you for the introduction, and I also added some as well. As you said, I am a Snapchat journalist at VG, and I am also a female reporter and photographer with Norwegian Chinese background. And in many ways, that's quite a rare species in the Norwegian newsrooms. I think I only know one another with a similar background as me. And you guys are probably wondering what is this picture I'm showing here? This is actually a story I did a couple months ago, last year actually, where I tried to live or survive with Billie Eilish nails, like really long green nails for a week. You can find that on Snapchat at VG Snapchat. And this is just one kind of stories I do for VG that is not connected to immigration or whatever. So I do a lot of different things. And before I'm gonna talk about how East Asians are represented in Norwegian media, I just want to begin with telling how I thought I looked according to Norwegians, or more specifically Norwegian society when I grew up, just to give you a kind of insight in how it is to be, grow up here as an immigrant. There are a couple things that you will notice straight away when you come to Norway as a child, and that's the snacks, of course, and the food and the packaging. And when I was little, I was introduced to one of these songs that called Tre små kinesere, which is actually a children's song about 3 small Chinese and how they are on this bridge and playing this instrument. I was actually quite annoyed by this song when I was little, because I felt it put a distance between me and the other children. And there was this song is actually in itself quite annoying because it keeps repeating 3 small Chinese, and I just hated it, and I felt it just put a distance. And when I and also this packaging here from Phaser is a really good snack actually, called China, and had this really strange relationship to this candy, because I was kind of proud because there was just such a good snack that was called China. But as I got older and I grew up, and I understood that these kind of packaging are in a way quite racial insensitive. And Phaser actually a couple of years ago removed the mascot, the China man with the straw hat mascot, but kept calling it China. And also the Mr. Lee package here. Yeah, I never got used to this giant Asian face, the stereotypical Asian face with the slanty eyes. But as I said, as I grew older, I did some research, and I actually found out that Mr. Lee, the creator of the cup noodles, I mean, he kind of looked alike the packaging. So I just get more confused. And I was like, is this offensive or not? I'm not sure. And sadly, Miss Lee passed away a couple of years ago in the age of 80 years old. So I never will get a chance to ask him personally what he thought about packaging. But since, yeah, I mean, yeah, this confused me a lot. But I also, so I didn't only look up to packaging, luckily. There's also, here we actually faced into mainstream media. And all these examples are actually quite recent. So when you grow up in Norway as immigrant and as Asian immigrant, you will face racism in some kind of way. In could be subtle or it could be very open. But one of the things are the slanty eyes and making fun of your accent or making fun of your name. And what I see is that very much of the bullying that you experience as a child in Norwegian school ground, you can also see in the mainstream media when they're making entertainment. And here is example of actually a very popular sports journalist at NRK who is actually here. He's making fun of how Asian looks, or he's actually dressed up as an Asian man, a yellow face, in other words. He's slanted his eyes, he's wearing a wig, he's have this tiny, stupid, silly mustache, and you see this, yeah, horrible Asian-like fonts across the screen. And there you also have two of Norway's most popular comedians making the exactly slanty eyes movement that were used to mock children at school that look different. And the last picture here is Et lite stykke Thailand, is the logo for a TV show that was, I think it was quite popular a couple years ago, where they are, which is a reality show where they're following a couple interracial couples, specifically Thai women and white males, Norwegian males. Even though it was interesting in ways, I found it actually insensitive, because the Asian women and the relationships were kind of the butt of the joke. And even though they, they shoved everything and didn't make it up, it was still like they kind of verifying the stereotypes we know of Asian women and Norwegian males and interracial relationships. So we have the entertainment where Asians are the jokes, put in stereotypical roles. And then we have in Norwegian media, when it comes to covering or representation, we have the victims. And we have Johanne Ile Hansen, who sadly was tragically killed by her older stepbrother in an attack. And he later also tried to attack a mosque in Norway. When this happened, she obviously gained a lot of attention. And that was the first time in my life I actually experienced that an Asian person was the main story or was actually in the news in some sort of way that gained large attention. But at the same time, I felt that the attention towards her and the covering of the story very quickly faded, and faded faster than what I'm used to when it comes to similar stories that had happened in Norway before, or in outside Norway. And so I'm not sure if it's because she's Asian and we don't take racism against Asians seriously, or that she was adopted. But I just felt, yeah, the attention span was not that long. And I almost feel like she was some kind of forgotten afterwards. And that makes me kind of sad. And then now we have this coronavirus coverage where We have both internationally and national news where people are victims, and Jessie here is actually talking about how she was yelled at by a couple teenagers when she was working. And we also, of course, have the San Francisco assault of the elderly lady. Yeah, so we have the entertainers that are mocking Chinese people, and then we have the victims. So we don't have a lot of diversity when it comes to coverage of Asian society. And then I also want to talk about the China fear, because one thing I need to tell you guys is that in Norway, since there are very few Asian people, and China is a big country, many people assume that Thai people or Vietnamese people, they are Asians, as in they're Chinese. So people, they just think every person that looks like me, they are Chinese. So when China is in the news, it affects a lot of people in Norway. I'm not saying this is anything wrong with covering politics and Chinese politics and so on. I'm just saying that there's very little diversity. And in Norway, we are very, just like any other Western newspaper or media, especially US, we are often put China as a threat to Western democracy, or as something we need to fear or sanction or punish, or they are doing something wrong. And we can see also in opinion columns where people are asking for sanction against China, that China is doing something wrong. And this and since there's no other Chinese influence, either like in Norway or from China, this is becoming like the large picture of how people view China. So that's the politics, and I'm not going to comment anything about that, but anymore about that. But there's also the culture things. When I was in high school, there was big news in Norwegian media about this dog meat festival that I was really worried when it was covered, because not because I eat dog myself, and I always have to tell people that, and people ask me, but I just remember very clearly that this story was covered in a very specific way, where China was kind of the bad guy all the way, like, oh, Chinese people, they're disgusting, they're eating dogs. And the journalists in Norway never asked actual Chinese people in Norway if this was true, or if it was common, or if they did it, or they could in any way explain what is this, and why are people eating dogs, and so on. So a young Chinese, Norwegian Chinese girl told me actually that she was tired of constantly needing to defend and explain, feeling bad or apologize for a home country, because the media kept pushing on this agenda, pushing on this version of China. And another funny thing is that in the Norwegian language, we have several phrases, several wordplays where Chinese people are used, or China is used. And we have a very good example here where both phrases, two phrases, are combined in one. And you have du store kineser, which means like you are something is unexpected, or you didn't accept something, or something is unusual. Then you say store kineser, like there's no big Chinese people, like Chinese people are usually small, or something like that. And in the same sentence, we have vi er alle shanghaiet, which means you're trapped or caught by something, or you are unexpected, trapped in something. And I mean, it's not the biggest deal, but I feel these were coined in a period when the world isn't what we see today, and they are kind of outdated. And I'm not biggest fan of using an ethnic group in such phrases, but they're still used in Norwegian media today very frequently, actually. I also asked a couple of fellow Asian Norwegians of mine before doing this presentation, before making it, and one woman actually said something very good that I want to share with you guys, that I thought was really fitting and covering the whole way Norwegian media is when it comes to Asian representation, specifically East Asian. And she said, I think Norwegian media in general, oh, I can't see half of the screen. Okay, anyway, I think Norwegian media in general is covering issues concerning the East Asian community more so when East Asians in the media are often put into stereotypical. Can I remove my picture so I can see myself? There we go. Sorry. I think the Norwegian media in general has failed in covering issues concerning the East Asian community, and more so when East Asians are featured in the media, when they're often put into stereotypical roles and stripped of their individuality. There are exceptions to this. However, there's a sense of unwillingness to look beyond those stereotypes because it's even easier and safer. And I mean, this is really well put, and I totally agree with her. And I also added some more that you can read in the presentation after the conference. But they all are saying the same thing in a way. But she also said there are exceptions, and I will show some of them. These are stories mainly also made by white journalists. So I thought that was good. And one of them is about the refugees from Vietnam during the war that are here in Norway today, that grew up here, that they fled the country. And this is a big story that Bergenstine did, and I thought it was really good. And yeah, I really want more stories like this. And another one is by Deto, which is a quite exclusive magazine in Norway. They are often a finance news outlet, but they also did a story about the Norway's only tofu maker, which are led by a Vietnamese family, I think. And even though you see the straw hat in the picture here, I can say that I did contact the photographer, and he said that the lady herself, she chose to have the straw hat on because it was something about her culture. So yeah, I mean, so I was happy that it wasn't like a prop that they added to it, and it was a natural element of the story. And just a couple of days ago, VG had this big story about Olivia Munn, whom is Asian American actress, that she is talking about the chaos that is happening in the US right now. And I never thought, actually, to be honest, that this will be the main story of VG. VG is also my employer as well. So I was actually quite touched by this, that they chose to say, this is the biggest story right now. We are having this on the top. This is the story you should read, because nothing else is more important than this story, because it was on the front page. And I'm really happy when I saw this. And actually Olivia, the actress, she saw the front page as well. And she thanked Norway for amplifying this message. And I thought that was a little bit silly, because Norway hasn't done anything to help Asian minorities in Norway or outside of Norway. VG hasn't done anything, particularly big for the Asian community or stopping Asian hate. So thank you to Olivia, not really to VG or to Norway. I just thought it was quite fun that she thanked us. But at the end, when it comes to positive influences or positive East Asian coverage in the media in Norway, it comes when the Asians themselves, the people themselves, choose to take narrative, choose to participate in this coverage. For instance, here we have Dennis, who is just a participant in a dating show. Something just as easy as that, but you see someone in a context that is not accepted or in a stereotypical way. And I love that. I thought that was really cool. And we have Sofie Mjøland Oppdal. She's adopted, and she wrote about how she was ashamed of her ethnicity when she grew up because she was adopted. And I thought that is also a good example where we take charge and we say, this is my story, and it's not stereotypical. We don't all have slant eyes. We're not nerds. We are not, good at math, blah, blah, blah. And we have also the bigger guns like Lan Maria, who is a very respected but also hated sadly, by a lot of right extremists. She's actually half Vietnamese, and she's also doing a very good job as a role model for many people, and especially Asians. And yeah, these are good examples. I'm proud of them. And I'm requesting a lot of positive news right now. I'm requesting a lot of, happy news about Asian people and Asian community in Norway. But I want to say that critical journalism is great, but we just need more balance. I yearn for more journalism on the Asian minority in Norway, and not only China as the powerhouse or China as the government, but also both positive and critical news about what's happening here in Norway with our people, our Asian people. And I know for sure, and I know many newsroom across Norway knows for sure that young people crave positive news, especially during this hard time. So there's no reason not to make them. And we need also to seek out injury objects, cases, and expert sources with the minority background, not only when we talk about immigration, not only when we need someone to comment on China, on dog meat festival, blah, blah, blah. And we really need to be careful as journalists to careful how we describe other cultures and avoid ethnocentrism. Is eating dog really that much different from pigs? If you're vegetarian, they're both terrible. But yeah, I mean, we have to think about these things. Am I just thinking, looking through like Norwegian glasses, or am I being judgmental, and so on? I was also asked to tell a little bit about the network I started with my colleague Maria, and we have actually created a network for people who are interested in media and East Asia and Asians. The goal was to connect people, especially ethnic East Asians, across newsrooms, but at the same time create a meeting place for journalists, but also for people who have opinions about East Asians, how they are presented in Norwegian media. And we have a lot of discussions there that are really good, and I gain more knowledge every day. And the feedback has been actually very wonderful. Most common feedback is that this is a network I didn't know I needed. And yeah, so you guys are also welcome to join as well. And this is a picture for our Clubhouse conversation we had a couple months ago, or a couple of weeks ago, actually. Last, I just want to say, if you are a media leader or if you are a journalist in Norway, please gain knowledge, gain insights, gain Norwegian East Asian perspectives. That is the way to become a better journalist, how to include people better in journalism and in the news coverage. Read about them, talk with them, and read all of these texts. These are good. Even I have also featured some of mine. And in that way, we can all be better journalists. So yeah, this is it. Thank you.